And these people are not elected. Not that I really give a lot of credence to election, but at least there is, if they are elected, they have some way of being gotten rid of if we don't like what they do, at least supposedly. But most of these people are not elected. And so when I'm talking to people, I like to find out where they're at. What do they know? Because then if they say, when you ask them, have you heard about Bitcoin? They'll say either yes or no. And if they do say yes, I want to find out what they know, because from what I've been able to determine is most of the information they have is false or mislead, is directed at being incorrect. And so find out what they know. And then I would even say, do you know how the media slants information? And they'll say yes. Most people would agree that the media does slant information. And would you agree that we live in a controlled society? And very rarely do I get someone that even asking that question that would not agree with that. And then listen to their response, and then get them to talk before you start going in with, pounding on them on Bitcoin. Is get them, build some kind of relationship with the people as far as what their concerns are, what they think, because people like to be heard, and most people, the information is, if they wanted your opinion, we'd be giving it to you. So when you open the door for them to give you what they know, they'll feel more of a bond between you, because hey, you're giving them the ability, you're giving them the stage and the lights and the camera to go out and be heard. And then listen to their response and get them to talk about it will make you like them more, and then address their concern. It's been used, well, people use it to buy drugs. Well, people use cash to buy drugs. I mean, how is that any different? Oh, well, people have been assassinated with it. Oh, well, that happens all the time with the current money system, so how is that any different? And just address those your concerns. And then usually, if you can, maybe even ask them what else they've heard, because sometimes people will give you the reason and then you have the real reason. So ask them, well, what else have you heard? And dispel those concerns. So the effects of the problem are, from this creation of money through this organized criminal organization, is we have warfare, welfare, bank bailouts, inflation, and the costs of things continuing to rise. Things become more and more difficult when they should actually be becoming easier. They have to work harder and harder to get what they want. And when you consider, like say the cost of what we buy, what is the cost of that purchase in terms of the mortgage or the rent at this facility? Well, it's probably a fairly large percentage, and then the percentage of someone's labor is actually being used to support their mortgage, so they have a place to live. So I mean, that's usually one of the biggest concerns that most people have. But the reason why we have these gigantic mortgages and rents and so forth is because they're inflating the money system. If you had a system where we have a system of money that things go down in value, well, if a baby's born, you give them $100 worth of Bitcoin, by the time they're 18, they can go buy a house. You don't have to have all these systems in place to be able to, for people to have these systems in place just for them to be able to afford housing. And then I might talk a little about the Federal Reserve. And the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it gives you a platform to be able to share information that maybe they have heard or they don't understand. And the Federal Reserve basically is just a very, very, very expensive accounting service created in 1913. Now in 1913, milk was 32 cents a gallon, bread was 6 cents a loaf, gas was 12 cents a gallon, the average car was $495, and the average house was about $3,395, and the income tax was 1%. So, as you can see, that this system over the long, 100 years has done nothing but reduce the value of the money system, which is exactly what it's not supposed to, what it's designed, supposedly not to do. And Bitcoin works the opposite way. So Bitcoin is international, decentralized, deflationary money versus the national centralized inflationary money. So the value of the dollar goes down and the value of the Bitcoin goes up. So if something goes down in value, you should usually get rid of it. And something goes up in value, you should usually acquire it. I mean, and we have a history since 2010, May 22nd. We have a history of the value of Bitcoin going up in a predominant way. Yeah, it's been going up and down and up. You know, it's been going, has some high fluctuations, but the general trend is in the up direction. And you could say the same thing about the dollar. It hasn't always been completely in the down direction. Sometimes it, you know, it levels off, or maybe even does a little bit better. But when you're looking at it very closely, you see these valuations. So what the difference is, you're going from digital to paper or material currency. And as we move further and further into the future, we have, you know, people are going more and more digital. I mean, almost everybody has a smartphone. I don't keep anything. If I want to lose something, give it to me on a piece of paper and I'll lose it. If I have it in a digital form, there's a much better chance I'll be able to find it and be able to access it. And a good way to explain this to people is with music. You know, do you go down to the store and buy a CD, or do you go to iTunes and buy the song you want?
Or an LP.
Huh?
You even ask them if you go and buy a record.
Right. It's just so humanity is moving from inconvenience to more convenience. That's the direction that humanity is going. So the way Bitcoin is designed is, over the long run, is designed to increase in value. And I like telling people, you know, the first known trade was done on May 22nd, 2010, where a guy in Fort Lauderdale sent 10,000 Bitcoins to a guy in England in exchange for 2 pizzas, and roughly for about $30 worth of pizza. And so 30 divided by 10,000 is $0.003 per Bitcoin. So that was the first known trade. And now they're selling for $280. So the general trend is in the up direction, and that's the way that it's designed to operate, is as more people use it and it becomes more used, then the value becomes higher, because there's only a fixed amount of Bitcoins that can ever be mined. And when they get mined, then as more people want to buy them, it's just supply and demand. So I just ask them, what would you rather have? A money that increases in value or decreases in value? And then the next thing I do is I want to get them to open a wallet, because I could talk about this, you know, what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin does, but until you actually experience how it works, then it really it doesn't really make a lot of difference to them. And I want this to be very concrete in their mind, and the value of how much they buy is really irrelevant. When I first got started, I was giving people like a little bit of a Bitcoin, you know, a penny or something, like go on your show. And I was like, they're not getting it. I want to get some money, because in that way they understand that they're trading something of value that they value in their wallet for something else that's of value that can be exchanged. One way, it's like you're trading so many silver pieces for so many gold pieces. So, you know, I tell them, hey, we could talk all day. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and experience is worth 1,000 pictures, right? Let me show you how this works. So I ask them, what kind of phone do you have? And they'll usually pull out their phone. I go, do you have an Android or an Apple phone? They usually pull it out and I say, here. I see which one they have, and they go, okay, go to your Apple Store, you know, your App Store or your Google Play, and I want you. And I like using Mycelium. Mycelium seems to be the easiest wallet to use. I've done hundreds of thousands of dollars using Mycelium, and I haven't had a glitch yet. So I get them to download the app, and then I get to talk about, okay, now how much do you want to get? And you know, how would you like to buy a dollar's worth? Get a dollar's worth. You don't say buy, because that's, you know, I say, why don't you get a dollar's worth? And then, because most people, they can afford a dollar, and if they don't, well, I'll roll down to any amount. I've done like 8 cents before, because that's all they had in their pocket. But you know, the thing is that, and I just want to get them understanding that they are exchanging one thing of value for another thing of value. And the way Bitcoin is designed is that this thing that they have that they're giving me is going to go down, and the thing that they're getting from me is going to go up. So then, after I get done talking to them, whether or not I open a wallet or not, I take a sticker, I take a Bitcoin sticker, and I take the sticker and I peel it off and I stick it. I don't even ask them. I go, here, now you know more about it than most people do. I just stick the sticker on them, and then now they're walking around the rest of the day, and they're advertising for me. And then maybe they get home, and, hey, honey, what's that sticker? Oh, I met this crazy guy, and he talked to me about Bitcoin. And now he's mentioning it to other people, and that's what I want to have happen, is have them do the advertising for me, because I can only talk to so many people. And then I say, I'm real busy. I'd like to sit down with you and give you more information. I'm sure you're going to have questions about this, because this is a very, I'm going to encourage you to go to the internet, do your own research, and then let me text you, and I'll text them a message, and then send them, I'll say, hey, this is Morpheus, we talked about Bitcoin. Then maybe a little later I'll send them another message, hey, check out this video. The We Use Coins video is a real good explanation. It's very short. I've done some podcasts, so I send them a copy of the podcast so then they can listen to that. I get to feel a little famous that way. And then after about a week, I'll give them some time and say, hey, what'd you think of that? What'd you like the most about it? Did you have any more questions? Answer the question. Hey, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee, and we'll talk about it. And I like to wrap up with the quote from Mahatma Gandhi he said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then you win. And so I think I really do believe that this is going to be the technology of the future.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good, very good way you approach it. And when he says he talks to everybody about Bitcoin, he's not kidding. I've been in a car with him where we're pulling out of the parking lot, and he talks to the parking attendant about Bitcoin.
I'd like to stop and I'd like to tell you about my Lord and Savior, Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean,
well, it's like here's the thing. There is some with that, but the thing is, if you find something Bitcoin for me has changed my life. I really like how the effect of first of all, the people I get to meet, the environment that this is all bringing about. It brings about a world where people trust each other on a much higher level than what you normally would see in the world. You do thousands of $1,000 transactions with people, and you build up a trust factor a lot faster than if you just meet them and have a cup of coffee. So you end up trusting people on a much higher level than just a normal, mundane situation. And so it's changed my life, and so I want to see other people have the benefit of this product, and I just wish that somebody would have just beat me over the head and said, hey man, you have to know about this because this is amazing. And when you show them how it works when you transfer the Bitcoins, I like to tell them, hey, it wouldn't have mattered if you were in China and I was in South Africa. This process is the same, and that gives people real power over their surroundings, much more so than what we currently have in the world.
what do you think is the biggest barrier to broader adoption of Bitcoin at this point in time?
Well, it's getting the right information, and that's where we come in the physical world. Is just, hey, this is what it is. Let me share with you. You got to give us a reason to give. There's a nerve between the brain and the wallet. And you have to massage that brain-wallet connection. And once you massage that brain-wallet connection, they pull out their wallet, they give you $1, and then you give them 85 cents worth of Bitcoins. Well, but the thing is
Is that
that
the discount you're working on? $1 deals?
You do.
I should make it more, but I don't want to. I want to take it easy on them. But the thing is, I want them to understand that this, like for example, when I first got started in Bitcoin, there was like 5 people on local Bitcoins, and I was like, how do I get these things? Because I don't have a bank account. And I went to local Bitcoins and I messaged like all 5 people, and no one called me back. And I'm going, I'm going to make $1 million freaking dollars with this, because obviously these people don't know anything. And finally, I was able to get a hold of somebody, and he sold me my first Bitcoins, and I've been rocking and rolling ever since.
So what is the if like 4 or 5 months ago, if you took $1 from somebody and then you gave them 85 cents, and now their 85 cents is worth 35 cents?
I tell them to buy some more.
What kind of positive interaction with that have you had with?
I just tell them that now's the time to buy. You have to look at it. This is a long-term project, and yeah, of course, if you look at something very closely, you can see a lot of oscillation. Oh, here's a good example. If you take a billiard ball or the Earth and shrink it down to the size of a billiard ball, the Earth is actually smoother than a billiard ball. And it's got 29,000 feet up and 36,000 feet